I'm James Helder. Welcome to Full Court Football 24. Quite privileged to be joined by former Swansea, Bradford, Tranmere Rovers, Hull City, Doncaster Rovers, Millwall, Oldham Athletic, Carlisle United, Bradford City, Walsall, Hereford United, Barnet, Morecambe and Guernsey star, none other than Jason Price. How are we, Jay? You all right?
Yeah, good, pal. Good, yeah.
Yeah, glad to hear it. I hope everything's all right where you are and it's not been too trying times to you, what with everything that's been going on.
No, luckily, I'm the 6th emergency service, which is a gas engineer. So obviously, boilers go down, I've got to fix them.
Interesting indeed. We're going to get into some of the things you've been up to after football, but I think it's only first that we start right at the beginning of this story. I know you're from Wales, so tell us a little bit about your childhood.
I'm from a place called Aberdare, which is deep in the valleys. Where I was doing what was I doing? I was doing a tool making course because my dad wanted me to do it. So I was just making tools, mate. Seriously, what am I doing? And then I was playing every Sunday for a team called Aberraman, and we played Swansea. And Swansea invited me down for a trial. I played 2 games and they gave me a 2-year contract.
Wow. Everything kind of happened really fast for yourself, from playing 2 games for Swansea on trial to then straight into the contract. Was that a youth contract or a professional contract?
No, it was professional. The weird thing was, I was the only one. Was I the only one? Oh, there was 2 of us. 2 of us signed on. But one is already playing for Swansea, so obviously they had to sign somebody because it wouldn't look good getting an outsider when they've trained these kids all however long, and then not signing anyone. So it was me and this other kid that signed.
Wow. Talk me through them early days at Swansea City as a young player and everything that goes around for signing for such a big club in the area.
Yeah, it was weird. It was an eye-opener. At first, I wasn't ready for it because obviously I've come from tool making to kicking a ball. So I've gone from £50 a month apprenticeship to up a couple of £100 a week kicking a ball. And I'm like, what? And it was like, because obviously I love football at the time, and Swansea and Cardiff, because I was at Cardiff as a schoolboy. And I'm in a change rooms with all big names. And it was just an eye-opener. I was just so nervous and I just didn't know where to look, what to do. Do you know what I mean? I'm training with all these big names and that, and I couldn't trap the ball. So I was always last picked in training, as you do. But I could run miles at the same speed. I could run, and so it was a learning process, which I did grasp quite well, I think.
What was Swansea City like as a club at that time? At the first at your young age of signing, what was the club like and the culture around the club?
Well, when I signed, that's end of that season, Frankie Burrows left, and they had a load of managers come in. I think it was like 7 managers in a couple of months. So I was like, I couldn't believe it. Well, neither could the fans really. But everything was just a eye-opener learning process. But it was the fans are great. The fans are crazy. I enjoyed my time at Swansea. The first couple of years when I was there these people are screaming at us. What's happening now? But they're screaming good things. But because I'm used to one man and his dog watching me, and within the blink of an eye, you know what I mean? I'm playing. I'm there mainly sitting in the stands, but I'm thinking one day I'm going to be out there playing, and all these people are screaming and shouting, and it's great. So you know what I mean? It was all a learning process.
Who was the big characters in the dressing room when you were first breaking through into the Swansea team?
You had Roger Freestone. He was mental. Freestone. You could have a laugh and a joke with him. He'd have a laugh and joke with anybody. Tony Bird stands out, where he'd do silly things in the change rooms. I didn't really, like I said, because when I first broke into when I first signed for him, I was a lost sheep, mate. I was just a wandering Joe, just walking, like, just didn't want to go in the change rooms because the bigger boys were in there, because that's what I called them, the bigger boys. Because I used to watch them on TV, and it's like, wow, I can't, I'm not worthy to go in there and sit next to them lot. You know what I mean? I'm from a little town, and I can't even trap the ball. Do you know what I mean? That's how I've seen it. And they're the only two characters that stick out.
How long did it take you to establish yourself as a first teamer at Swansea?
It took me 2 years. It took me the 2 seasons I signed, it took me 2 years, where the start of the third season, I was playing. But in football, you need luck. And the right back broke his leg. And that's how I got my chance of starting right wing back. I think if he hadn't broke his leg, I probably would have been on the bench. But football is most of the time, it's about luck. Well, not most of the time. A lot of luck involved in football.
You got that little bit of luck. You got the shirt. Was that you playing right wing back then for Swansea?
I was playing right wing back. Like I said, I couldn't defend to save my life, but I could go forward. I was like Cafu. Going forward like Cafu was unstoppable, but I was also defending like Cafu against Bale as well, where I just couldn't do. Man, you could have an old woman, old granny with a stick walking towards me. I'd probably fall over. As soon as I run backwards, that's it. I just couldn't change direction, nothing there. So I liked it. Past the halfway line, I'm all right. This side of the halfway line, forget it. It's either a cross coming in or they're scoring.
What's the nightlife like as a young Swansea player? What's it like to be in such a big city with a big football team?
Mate, it was crazy. I was getting, didn't have to queue. I felt like a Premiership baller. Didn't have to queue. I was just walking in. Doormen were like, yeah, straight in, up the stairs. Barmen were like, free drinks, there you go. Not all the time, obviously, with the free drinks, but they'd say, oh, yeah, just there's a free drink there you go. It was crazy, mate. It was just, I was like a rabbit in the headlights, just like, what's happening here? I took full advantage of it, don't get me wrong. But it was just crazy times. It was crazy times. And I like to drink as well.
Who was your nightlife partner? Who would you have gone out with out of the players the most?
I was out with, because I weren't in the team, because I'd got friendly with the boys. When I weren't in the team, I got friendly with the boys who weren't in the team. So like, I'm still best friends with a kid called Carl Monroe. I'm not seeing this guy, a kid called Jamie Harris, who I've not seen for a while. He's on Facebook, but I don't really speak to him much. It was just us three. Ryan Casey, I think he's gone back to Ireland. But it was just us three, go out as a bubble, just go out and take advantage of what we were doing, what we had.
Do you see any player bust-ups during your time at Swansea? Any player come heated moments?
Yeah, I was on a training pitch when I first signed with Swansea. I was on walking off the training pitch, and I just heard a kerfuffle behind, and I've turned around, and there was two men just going for it, and then all the boys ran over, but I didn't know any names at the time because I was new to the team. So I'm thinking to myself, why do you fight in football? Surely you don't fight in football. It's all nicey as teammates. But I've come to realise that nope. Some people proper argue on football because it's your living. You want to win.
Yeah. Do you get some players that sulk when they're not in the team?
Yeah, everybody does. I did. Everybody does, mate. If you think you should be in that team and you're not in the team, you have a sulk on. You sort of think, oh, I just hope he maybe just goes over on his ankle. It's a nasty thing to say, but you do. You just think, oh, you know what I mean? If he gets injured, not a nasty injury, but if he just has a little niggle and he has to come off, then I'm in there. But you know what I mean? In the back of your mind, that's what you're thinking. You want your team to win, but at the same time, if you're an honest person, that's what you're thinking, mate. You're thinking, maybe he must just get a little niggle, come off, and I'm playing.
Have you seen anyone put in bad tackles in challenges on players that play in their positions? Does that go on a little bit?
Yeah, you think a couple of times I'm thinking I'm going to give an elbow to this kid now because he's doing my head in, and I've been caught, and I've caught a couple with elbows. I'm skinny. I'm all bony, and yeah, I've had my nose broke twice.
Really?
By an elbow. Yeah, by an elbow, mate.
Do you think they was intentional? Do you think them elbows on the nose?
The first one was. It was against Hull. I'd scored my first ever goal. I was up against Gregory Rioch, and I was on the floor. I tackled him. He stood on me, and I said, "You little so-and-so, I'm going to get you now." And as I've got up, the ball went away from us, and I'm sprinting to him, and he's turned back, and he's just gone, "Get off me." He broke my nose, didn't he? Blood everywhere. Boom. But that was the first. I think that was one of my first seasons. Yeah. I didn't know how to handle myself, as I should say. Yeah. At the time, and my nose just broke my nose. I had loads of stitches in my nose. My nose is still pointing that way now.
See, coming into that third season, are you established now at Swansea? Then are you established playing right back, or
no? I was sort of getting my foot in the door. The first season I played, I was in the team more than I was out. But at the time he'd let a load of when I first signed, he'd let all them boys go more or less. 90% had all gone at this point, and it was all new boys coming in because the manager had left, new managers come in, so it was all new boys. But yeah, the first season, the third season, which was the first season of me breaking in, I'd established myself as a regular, which was weird to me, and because I'm playing in front of thousands of fans, yeah, which I never thought would be possible, but I was. My family were in the stand. I've got friends in the stands. It was just crazy. I'm on TV every Sunday on Welsh TV, Sunday about 2:00, which I'm watching that, which was like, oh my God, it's me.
It's about this stage you're breaking into the Welsh under-21 side as well.
Huge. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was weird. That was a weird one because I'm in the 21, and when you're in the 21, you go away with the first team. So you had Ryan Giggs, Savage, Gary Speed. They're on the table over there, and Jason Price from Aberdeen is in the table there. Do you know what I mean? That's how I seen it. I'm like, oh my God, look who's over there. It's Giggsy. In the Welsh, he's played for Man U. He's in the Welsh. You know what I mean? He's one of the best players in the world. And he's sitting over there, 20 yards away. Should I go talk to him? What am I going to say? Is he going to think I'm right, idiot? That's what's going through my head at the time. I'm thinking, oh my God, like what? It can't be Giggsy, surely. You know,
you go up and
you might know him.
Did you go up and say hello to him, or what? What was the
I had to sit. It was at one point I had to sit on the same table as Robbie Savage, who was a big name at the time, and like he just didn't care. He's just telling the stories and everything. Like, oh my God, he's talking to me. He knows my name. That's how it is when you first breaking into teams. Like from where I was, I'm thinking to myself, bloody hell! I mean, these big names, these big names, and they're talking to me. They know me. But then I'm thinking to myself, well, this is my life now. This is what it's all about. If I knuckle down and get better at what I'm doing, I could possibly be a big name as well.
Was John Toshak the Welsh manager at the time you were playing for the under-21s?
No, it was Mark Hughes.
Mark Hughes, wow.
I don't know if it was Toshak maybe the first season, but I know Mark Hughes took over. And he was all right, because I was nearly in the first team. I was nearly in the squad for the first team. We played Belarus, and I played centre half. I played sweeper.
Yeah.
And I was like Brazy at the back, because I was quick. I could read the game, and they were all 5 foot. Do you know what I mean? And because I was quick, I could read the game, and I'm 6'2", Mate, I was bringing it down on my chest, giving it to him, get it back. I wasn't pinging it because I couldn't kick it far, but I was just giving it to the midfielders, getting it back. Oh, mate, I was like Maldini Baresi. I was running the show. And I nearly got in the first team in the squad for Mark Hughes said I might take you, but in the end, he took a kid called Llewellyn, which I was devastated because my confidence was there at the time. Because we played a couple of, I think we played Switzerland as well, and we played Belarus. Mate, I was unstoppable, and I thought make it in the first team. But then, are you ready for it? You know what I mean? And Mark Hughes said I didn't think you were ready for the step up, so we took a kid who's already been in the first team squad. But then, how are you going to learn?
Interesting.
How are you going to learn? Do you know what I mean? But I was still learning at the time. So I think it might have been in my fourth season then, fifth season.
At this time, are your wages starting to go up at Swansea? Or is your program starting to raise?
Yeah, I doubled my wages at the time then.
Wow.
It was about, I think 4 or 5 of us had doubled our wage. And we were like, oh my God, look at that. We're on loads of money. We could buy a car now. I bought a car, bought Fiesta, F-Reg Fiesta, white one, limited edition.
I bet you loved that car when you first got it. I bet it was.
Yeah, obviously, I thought I was Beavanese. I had a white Fiesta, put a subwoofer in the back, as you do. And I had a face-off radio, then click-off, face-off things, mate, seriously. Windows down, windy windows down. And I was just blasting the music.
Wicked.
Blasting me. Crazy times.
Was there a big drinking culture at the club at the time amongst the players and the senior players?
Yeah, it was. And I could honestly say I was guilty of being one of them as well. Where I enjoyed the drink. And because at my first couple of seasons, I was living in Aberdeen. But then obviously I'd moved down to Swansea, so people recognised you more. So I sort of couldn't go out to a certain extent sometimes, but I wouldn't drink, but I wouldn't break the rule drinking wise. I'd break the rule of going into a public house, but I wouldn't drink. I wouldn't drink alcohol, but I'd be in a public house.
Yeah.
Which was, do you know what I mean? Which was not good, like, but I wouldn't do it all the time.
Talk me through the following season when Swansea gained promotion. I know that's a big deal and a big thing to be a part of. When you look back on that now, what memories stand with you from that?
Well, when we got promoted, I was on the right wing. So we got into a 4-4. Whereas when I first started, we were playing wing backs. But then the new manager, John Hollins, came in, and we played a 4-4-2. And I was more or less playing right wing at the time, and we had. I think we broke the record for winning the most 1-0 wins because we were solid at the back, and we had a kid called Julian Allsop up top, and he would just flick everything on, and it would just myself and the left wingers and stuff just running through and just scoring.
This time you're starting to gain a lot of interest from other clubs. A lot of scouts are coming to watch your games and stuff. How do you handle that as a player, or how did you handle it personally?
I try not to think about it, because the more I think about things, the more nervous I get, and I can't handle it then. Like in the changing rooms, I always mess around. I have to mess around. I can't sit there and try and focus. I'll grab something, fling it at somebody, and then just put your head down. And then they get riled up and you're like giggling to yourself. That's how I used to, and I just have to mess around all the time. That's how I got my nerves to calm down. And that's what I do. But it was just, I don't know.
Has anyone ever taken one of your pranks or one of your bits of banter the wrong way in the changing room?
As soon as people meet me, straight away they know how to take me, because I've never had anybody like flip on me. Like I was playing for, where was I? I was at Tranmere once, and I'd come on a sub. And he said, "Oh, this is what you're doing." And I just didn't take any notice. And my man scored off the corner. And the manager blamed everyone else apart from me. It was crazy. It was my man. The captain's like shouting at me. Whose man was that? I'm putting my head down thinking, oh my God, I was like that. It wasn't me, like. And then the manager just blamed everyone else apart from me. Because I don't know what, my personality was, do you know what I mean? Nobody really took me, not serious, but they'd shout at me and within seconds I'm making a joke about it.
What's your highlights from your time at Swansea then? If you had to summarise some of your great moments, what do you think they would do?
Getting promoted to Division 3, going from a boy to a man, because Swansea learnt me everything about football, mate. The highs, the lows, everything. And it made me into who I was as a footballer. Because I think if I hadn't been a Swansea, I don't think I would have come on as well as I did. Because I learned how to cope with everything, stress, everything. Because you don't really, that part of it, when you get footballers who are depressed and this, that, I can see why straight away. So they say, I can see why. But because I was so laid back and I messed around all the time, I think I dealt with it a bit easier. Because I remember when I was a Swansea, we were top of the league, we'd lost, and the fans some fans turned on us. And I'm driving home with one of the boys, and we were like, "Should we give up football? We don't need this." Do you know what I mean? This was straight after the game, where you're still emotional, your emotions are still running wild, and you're driving home, and me and my mate were like, "Just want to give up, mate. Just can't be arsed with this." We're top of the league, and you got fans. We lost, and you got fans abusing you, like. And then the next day, you realise that's what it's all about. Football. You have to take all that into consideration. Where the highs in football, the highs are high, but the lows are extremely low. If you bottom the league, you need to have you need to be strong-headed.
You're playing over 130 league games for Swansea.
Yeah,
massive achievement. Was it hard for you to leave the club when Brentford came in for yourself?
No, because I'd established myself as a regular, and I gained a lot of confidence, and I knew deep down I could play higher. But at the same time, I think the Bosman ruling come in. I think, or he might be coming in. But I'd only gone to Brentford on a 3-month contract. Because I'd gone to, so I left Swansea because I wanted the same money as the top boys, but they wouldn't give me it. So I said, I'm leaving then. I'll just leave. Because I was on half of what the top boys were getting. And I was one of the, I seen myself as one of the main players. But they said they couldn't afford it. But then I said, well, you can afford to give them so-and-so. So I want the same, or near enough the same. And they said, no, we can't. So I said, all right, well, I'll leave. So then I went to QPR on trial, which was a farce.
Really?
So yeah, I've turned up. There's about 40 players, just random players I've never seen before.
All on trial?
What's that, sorry?
Was they all on trial, all the other players?
On trial, yeah. So my agent said to me, I've got your trial at QPR. So I've drove all the way to QPR. I've got there, and it was just these, mate, it was just everybody were there. It was like a fun fair. And we're there sitting, and this kid was doing tricks, like smashing the ball. I was sitting there, like quiet, thinking, "Oh my God, what's this? What's happening here?" And I think he was Russian. I never forget it. He was doing these tricks, and I'm thinking, I can only just about keep the ball up 20 times, and this kid was doing it, smashing the ball in the air, keeping on his neck, this, that, the other. And then we're training, and he couldn't kick it properly. Seriously, I'm like, what? What's all this about? I'm playing, no word of a lie, I'm training, playing centre half with, I forgot his name now, Ian Holloway.
Ian Holloway.
I'm playing centre half with Ian Holloway in a trial, when I was playing more or less right wing up front, because it was that many strikers and thing, I just went off. I'm playing centre half on a trial at QPR. Like, what's all this about? Me and Ian Holloway's having a chat. What? But they had no money at the time, so they didn't, and I had no club. So I left Swansea with no club. I'm thinking to myself, I'm only getting paid till July. What's going to happen? Yeah, and then Brentford, Ron Nodes got in contact and said, do you want to come down on trial? Where 2 seasons previous, he tried to sign me. So I went there. But I nearly signed for Cardiff City as well. So, this is a story too. So just before I'm on trial at QPR now, I'm walking to the shop for bread and milk because I live back at my mum's then in Aberdeen. I'm going to the Spar to get some bread and milk, and Cardiff City owner Sam Aman phoned me up, and I'm just, phone's gone, number. Like, hello, Sam Aman, I want to Cardiff City, we're going places. I want to sign you. And thicko, yeah, I went. I said, oh, well, I want to keep my options open. Instead of me going, yeah, I'll come down to chat. But at the same time, because I was so Swansea, a Cardiff move, I don't know, would have been right at the time because they both hate each other.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I need to keep my options open. But, mate, that was it. We're a bigger club with a massive club. Just put the phone down on me. I was like, what? I was like, oh, I better get my bread and milk. I said, Ma'am, Cardiff City just phoned me up now, and he more or less told me to get on my bike. No.
Talk to me about Brentford.
Yeah, sorry. The story behind Brentford. So I was living in Aberdeen. So Ron Notes phones me up. He said, I want to take you on trial for 3 months. I'll give you a 3-month contract. So I was like, all right, okay. She goes, I was living in Aberdeen, which is 20 miles from Swansea. So I moved back with my mother. And he went, meet me down in Swansea. He said, I've got a friend down there. Meet me down there. He said, we'll drive to my house in London. So, okay. So I had a red Fiat Punto that I got from the auctions at the time. Like a rundown Fiat Punto, a red one. So anyway, I meet him at his mansion in Swansea where his mate was. Felt uncomfortable sitting there. Them two are talking business while I'm just sitting there twiddling my fingers, twiddling my thumbs, thinking, what's happening here? It was just you just met his mate for a random chat about business, whatever it was. It was nothing about me. So anyway, he had this nice convertible. He said, follow me from Swansea all the way to London.
What, and you're in your red Punto?
I'm in Punto. He said, keep up. He said, if you break down, you're going to have to phone the AA. He said, so anyway, I drive all the way to his house. I'm staying at his mansion. He lived on a private street, didn't he? There was his massive gates open. I'm in the Punto. Like, what's happening here? Following him. I've pulled into his house. He's introduced me to all his family. I stayed with him for a full month in his house whilst playing for Brentford. And like, I was sick, phoning my mother, Mum, because it was at the time where they used his house to do the series of Footballers' Wives.
Yeah. The
old school one. They used his house because his house, all his stuff was in boxes because I think he'd only just moved back in. And that's when I'm opening my eyes thinking, wow, this football world is just completely different to what I'm used to and to what I was used to in Swansea.
What's it like living with your own gaffer, with your own manager? It's got to be quite awkward at times, no?
Yeah, it was a bit, yeah. Well, he was chairman. He was gaffer, I think 2 seasons before, he was the manager, chairman manager. But then Steve Coppell was the manager. But he was the chairman. And it was, yeah, like the same, it was just weird. I couldn't do anything. I was in my room 12 hours, like, just couldn't do it because I didn't have a fob for the gate. Couldn't really go out. Didn't know the code. So I just stayed in the house. Like, what? I was taking his kid. His kid must have been about 12. Me and him were going to play tennis. I just had to get out of the house. So I'm taking his kid to play tennis. Just driving, windows down, black music blasting, playing tennis.
Wicked.
With his kid driving back, dropping his kid out, and I'm like, what do I do now? Crazy, man. I was like, what? This like, and then obviously I was first. I was playing right wing for Brentford then.
Yeah.
And I'd only had a 3-month contract. And at the end of my contract, they were going to sign me permanent for a couple of years. And they offered me so much money. And then I went in to sign. And then Coppell would say to me, oh, the chairman's in a bad mood. He wants to offer you 15 grand less a year because he's in a bad mood. I was like, what? I was like, well, that's not right. So anyway, I said, oh, well, I'm not signing. And then I go train. Day later, Coppell say, I need to see you. Go back. He said, oh, yeah, he offer you your money now. I went, okay, I'll sign. I'll sign tomorrow. Okay, yeah. Train, come in, went to sign. He went, oh, he's in a bad mood again. He's offering you less money again. I was like, what? This can't be right, this. So in the end, I said, oh, I'm not signing. And then my agent said to me, I've got Tranmere, Oldham. Would you want to sign for? So I said, I'll sign for Tranmere.
Before we move on to Tranmere, I'd like to talk about Steve Coppell a little bit. Firstly, did you enjoy his sessions? Were they geared towards attacking players?
Yeah, Steve Coppell, a good manager. And the thing was, with the Brentford team, there were some good players in that team. And we linked quite well. Everybody, like up top, we had Ben Burgess and Lloyd Owusu, who were both 6'4". One's rapid and one's clever. Do you know, we had a good mix. We had a really good mix. And it was when all this garage music was coming in and that, and it was just all Lloyd Owusu would blast all the garage music in the changing rooms, including the DJ as well. So he just made good friends. Just made really good friends with Brentford. It was a good click.
Leon Knight once told me that Steve Coppell would come behind him and whisper in his ear, "Violence," when he came to strike the ball and stuff. Have you got?
No, he didn't know the rest. No.
Have you got any experience or funny stories of Coppell from your time with him?
No, I don't know. I was just trying to keep it on down. I just kept myself to myself, like not myself, but I just kept away from managers. Because his assistant manager was the Vinnie Jones's mate. The one off Green. He was in what was that Vinnie Jones film, the football one, the early doors one, the early one.
Mean Machine, that one.
That's it. He was in that with Vinnie Jones.
Wow.
He was his assistant manager. Mate, I'm so bad with names. I'm surrounded by Cockneys. Yeah. I'm guys from South London. It was just crazy.
Now you didn't get the deal that you wanted at Brentford.
No.
You decided to sign for Tranmere Rovers. Talk me through that period and everything that goes along with signing for a new club.
Well, you're like a new kid in the new school. Do you know, you turn up, you only know 1 or 2 players, all the rest you don't know. And I'm bad with names, and I'm trying to figure out everybody's name. You know, it takes me ages to figure out people's names. I forget names and that. But I thought, because when I was at Brentford, we were top of the league. We were more or less top of the league, and we had a great team, and my confidence was there. I thought I was one of the best players in the world at the time, as you do. And I'd signed for Tranmere, and I thought I was good. And then in the training sesh, Jason Kumas was there playing, and mate, he was on another level to me. So I thought I was good, but I realised I'm not as good as I think I am, and he took my game, yeah. But it was great because the trainer was all right. Trainer was great. Dave Watson was the manager.
Yeah.
So I'm starting now to see a lot of famous footballers, ex-footballers, famous footballers. Do you know what I mean? It was all coming together then, thinking, oh, I'm in this now. But at the same time, Tranmere were coming. The payroll was coming down. They were losing players left, right, and centre. The money were going, but the team was still quite good. And we had a half decent team because I think we finished 8th and 7th. I think.
Did you live in Tranmere? Did you relocate to Tranmere?
I did, yeah. I lived in Tranmere. Yeah, I lived in a nice place called.
How was that experience?
It was different. It was different. It was because Tranmere was a hole. The town centre was a so-and-so hole, as they say. But then you go to Liverpool, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was only the town centre. Don't get me wrong. The people in that were nice people. Just there weren't many shops that were open, as they say.
49 league games for Tranmere until
Yeah.
you make the move to Hull. Quite a big move and quite a big transfer for yourself. Can you talk me through that stage in that period?
Yeah, Ben. I'd made good friends with Ben Burgess from Brentford days, and he phoned me up and he said, "We need a right-sided player. What do you reckon? Do we ask Peter Taylor for you?" So I was like, "Yeah." In Hull at the time, we get like 20,000 every week. I was like, and they moved into a new stadium, and I was like, "Oh yeah, tell him." So Peter Taylor phoned me up and he said, "I need a right back." And I started having nightmares come back to me, thinking, I can't play right back. I'm thinking, but I said, yeah, I'll play right back, because he just won that move. And he said, I need a right-sided player. I want a more right back than a right wing. I was like, yeah, I'll play anywhere. Just sign me up. So he said, all right. He said, I'll sign you as a right winger. And mate, it was first game, 25,000 first game.
Wow.
Like in league 2 and 8. Like what's all this about? Full house, League 2, and I scored in the first game, and it was just like eye opener. And that Hull were like Swansea, where I felt like a Premiership footballer again, because there's no Premiership teams around Hull, is it? Apart from Leeds, or sorry, big name teams apart from Leeds, which is an hour away. So we were like, well, gods, as they say. It was crazy, mate. It was another eye opener.
Did you take full use of your newfound status in Hull?
Yeah, mate. It was. I'd gone there with confidence. We were playing. The whole team were just like 25,000 fans. Like some teams were intimidated by that many fans and played against a good team. And we had good players. With a hell of a team then.
Who was in that team with you at Hull? What players?
Delaney, Court, Dawson, Thelwell. I'm really good mates with now. Thelwell. There was myself on the right, Ian Ashby, Stuart Elliott, who could score from his own half. You had Stuart Green, and up front we had Ben Burgess, Danny Alsop, who could score. He was a goal scorer. What else was it? Mate, we had a good team. We had a really good team. Good mix.
What was Peter Taylor like as a manager? What did you think of his?
He was like Jekyll and Hyde. He was a good manager. I enjoyed my time. I'd learnt a lot from him. I'd learnt a lot from Coppell, and then I'd learnt a lot from him, from Peter Taylor. But he was like Jekyll and Hyde, where 1 minute he'd speak all right, next minute he'd flip.
Really?
Like proper red face, screaming his head off. Like you have to watch it with him. You have to keep it thing. But we had a good. We had like the club was up and coming. We had a load of money. We had a really good team. We had loads of fans. We had a championship. So excuse me. We had a championship fan base, hovering Premiership fan base. Everything was just, as I say, round pegs. So everything was just sitting in place. And we had a good team spirit, which takes us a long way.
Yeah. You seem to really enjoy your time at Hull. Played regularly, played
Hull.
consistently.
I look back at Hull now and I still have goosebumps. So, some songs come on, because I've got my history in the kitchen. And some old school song comes on, and sometimes I get hairs on my neck just stand up. I'm thinking, oh my God, remember them days? Seriously, I just, that's my life in a minute, just thinking back to, when I used to be football, I used to be really good.
Who was your nightlife partners at Hull? Who would you go out for a drink with and stuff?
I don't want to stitch anyone up. But it was Ben Burgess, Damien Delaney, Alton Thelwell. We used to all live in a place called Beverley. And it was when 50 Cent used to shout B Unit. Well, we were Beverley, weren't we? So we used to shout B Unit in the clean rooms. It was like we were like army guys walking B Unit. Courtney was hovering with us as well. He'd jump in our little gang as well.
Yeah.
So we used to class ourselves as the B Unit. I know, miss, sad times. But yeah, we was Burgess, Delaney, Thelwell, myself. We were just, we were the B Unit.
What's it like in Hull then? When, like I mentioned, you're similar to Swansea. What's it like with the fans? Because on a night out, you're gonna bump into so many Hull City fans.
Oh mate, the Hull fans were on a different world. They were all nice. They were all like, buy you a drink, do this, do that. They would come in up, come have a picture, can we autograph? I honestly felt like a Premiership baller on League Two wages.
3 good seasons at Hull for yourself.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed your time there. Was it a tough decision for you to leave for Doncaster, or was it a decision taken out your own hands?
It was taken out my own hands. I had something wrong with my calf. I had a spasm in my calf, which I couldn't get rid of. It felt like I pulled my calf. And Peter Taylor got the amp. We were playing. I'd had the best 6 weeks of my career. Played Ipswich. I'd man the match against Ipswich. I'd scored against Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United. I was on fire. And then I had this thing in my calf, and I didn't know what it was. I thought I pulled my calf, and it weren't. It was just a spasm. So obviously my back, something was wrong with my back. But anyway, we were on our way to Reading, and I felt this spasm come on. And I was playing at the time. I was on fire. And I said to the manager, I can't play. Well, he had the ump with me because I'd had spasm before as well. And Peter Taylor got the ump, and he said we played Reading. Then the following weekend was a bank holiday, but it was international. And I was too old for the 21s, and I weren't called up for the Welsh team. So obviously we were off. We had a weekend off, and obviously I'd had a couple of drinkies night. So I'm in bed with hangover, waking up, and my agent phones me up and said, Peter Taylor said you can go. So I'm like, what? He said, Peter Taylor said you can go. I got Doncaster on the other end of the phone. Do you want to sign for them? And I was like, all right. So this was January, but I'd only had the contract till obviously July. And I'm thinking, well, it's only down the road. Doncaster, all right? Yeah, I'll sign for Doncaster. So I was half cut, and I made the decision to sign for Doncaster, which in a way has made me into who I was, which I don't regret it one bit, because I've had so many good times. I might have played in the Premiership with Hull if I'd stayed, but then obviously if I were playing, things wouldn't have worked out like they did. But when I left and I'd signed for Doncaster, it opened my eyes to what football was all about, because Dave Penny left. I enjoyed my time with Dave Penny, and then Sean O'Driscoll come in, and he was like a school teacher teaching kids, where we'd train, and then he'd stop the session and he'd ask you a question. Why have you just done that? What do you do in this situation? Mate, I was like, what? And because I was one of the tallest in the team, I'd stand at the back, and I'm still, do you know what I mean? I'd have to duck you down and think, oh my God, he's going to ask me a question. I know. He's going to ask me a question. But in the end, he didn't ask me a question, because he knew I'd come out with some silly answer. So that's the story behind me leaving Hull.
Yeah, it seems like anything. You enjoyed your time at Hull. Yeah, maybe a small regret of yourself not staying challenging for that Premier League spot down the line. Yeah,
because we were in Championship. I was more sub mostly, but then I'd had that 6 weeks where I played the best football of my career, man. Nobody could stop me. And I'm playing against ex-Premiership footballers as well. And I'm knocking them out the water. Nobody could stop me. And then this spasm come to my calf. And then, like I say, I don't regret it. I look back and I'm thinking, could have been a Premiership footballer if I'd stayed. But then, obviously, I've won a load of trophies with Doncaster then. Could have been well off. Could have had loads of trophies. Which one do you want?
By the time you left Hull, you played 75 games for the club league games, scoring 13 goals from right wing and right back, which is quite a good achievement. Let's talk through your next move and your next career journey.
Yeah, like I say, the move come out the blue, so I wasn't expecting it, and I signed, and it was a non-league mentality because they'd come up from non-league, nothing had changed. They had a small ground, the fans were on top of you, and the team got where they were through hard work and team spirit. Do you know? So we were, and because I run my socks off for the team, I slotted straight into the team. But then they moved stadium, and everything started to. Oh, we get money. We got a bit of money now. We get different players in. A load of them old players left, and then the new lot come in, and then we started where we was Doncaster on the first time. We were grafting. On the Saturday. We were grafting for them 3 points. We didn't have brilliant players, but we'd earned the 3 points. Whereas when O'Driscoll came in, he had a team who were popping it. We could pass teams off the pitch, and we could still do what we had to do to get 3 points.
Talk me through that first season at Doncaster from your point of view. How do you think you settled initially into the team? How did you settle? Well, I guess it's not too far from where you've been based already, but how did you settle at Doncaster?
Yeah, well, I travelled from Beverley to Doncaster, so it was only 45 minutes. So it weren't too bad. That's one reason I signed for him, was because it was down the road. And I just slotted in. Like I said, I slotted in because they were such a hard-working team. I slotted in straight away because I run the socks off. The fans enjoyed watching me at the same time because I'm a hard worker, like they already had. So the fans come to love me straight away, which is a good thing because a lot of my game was confidence. Yeah. If I get booed after 5 minutes by my own fans, you've lost me. You've lost me, mate, because I wouldn't be able to get my confidence back quick enough. And by half time, I'm coming off. I probably would have got subbed. So the fans enjoyed watching me, and they gelled with me, and they would, do you know what I mean? And then this singing my name and all that, and you're like, this is good, this.
You fitted in well with the lads, but have you got aspirations when you're at Doncaster to try and go back up the leagues?
Yeah, definitely. You always have that goal to get in the Premiership. If a footballer don't want to get a Premiership, then he shouldn't be playing football, really. Yeah. Because that's what you aim for. There's only so many slots in the Premiership League. There's only so many slots for the players, and that's where you want one of them slots. You want your name to be in the Premiership team, and that's what I aim for. And I did come close. Obviously, I played in the Championship 3 seasons, but I didn't get there. But I enjoyed it. I've learned a lot. Like I said, when O'Driscoll came in, I learned so much about football and what it's about. In terms of, I'm always thinking, if a football match is on TV, I'm always thinking what the next pass is going to be for that player. Even Premiership games. I don't just watch a game and go, oh yeah, we lost, or they won 2-0. Man U beat so-and-so 2-0. I'll watch somebody pass it, and I'm looking to where they're moving next, to where they can get the, I'm like Einstein on the board. I'm always like, right, this, in my head, I'm thinking to myself, where's he? I never just watch a game and go, oh yeah, 2-0. I always watch a game and go, he's done that, he played well, he's done this, he's done that.
Yeah. Any stories that stand out from your time at Doncaster that you can share with us?
Yeah, the first day in training, talking about fights. First, I've sat down next to Fortune West. And then I've got up, I've walked to the change room's door, McKindo's come in. Next thing, they're arguing and more like scrapping. Like, what's that? I don't think it's I've just signed for this club. What's all that about?
Were they proper going at it then?
Yeah, man, it was just, what am I doing? What am I doing at this? The first thought was, what am I doing at this club? Because I knew they were a hard-working team. And if you didn't pull your socks up, you knew you were getting, you know what I mean, you were getting told off. Probably grabbed her on the throat, do you know what I mean? It was that kind of team. But yeah, first day on the job, and I got two guys fighting. I'm thinking to myself, no, I think like this.
What was your highlights from Doncaster? Talk me through your time there, and how would you summarise it into words?
Yeah, I'd had it was one of the best teams I've played in at the time. Where we'd won the Johnson's Paint. The following season, we beat Leeds at Wembley, which was a massive achievement.
Wow.
I know, it was crazy for a small club, because they had a small club. Do you know what I mean? They haven't got masses of money, but we were a good team. The only team that them couple of seasons were better than us was playing football was Swansea. Ironically enough, Swansea played better football than us, but we popped it. But I enjoyed every day. I enjoyed the Doncaster. It was like a family. It was like a family affair. It was great. Where most of the players got on, and we were just, everybody were happy.
93 games you played for Doncaster during your time there.
Yeah.
Do you wish you extended your time at Doncaster and stayed longer, or do you feel it was the right time for you in your career to move on?
No, I think when I left Doncaster, I couldn't. I played up front for Doncaster, so O'Driscoll moved me from right wing to up front. But I couldn't. I didn't score enough goals. I couldn't score. I just couldn't score. And we played the season we got promoted to Championship. I'd lost all confidence. We played Leeds, and I'd missed a sitter on the line. I only had to make contact with the ball, and it went through my legs.
No.
And, yeah, mate, seriously. And I just wanted to dig myself a hole and just jump in it. I'd lost all confidence that season. Yeah. And funny enough, my nickname was Afro Goal Machine. And I couldn't score, right? Worked out. I told this little kid, because I didn't have a song. So the season, when we were in League One, I said to this little kid, make a song up for me, Afro Goal Machine. Because when I was playing right wing, I was scoring. And then that was my song, Afro Goal Machine, Afro Goal Machine. So anyway, I couldn't score that season. So we were in Championship, I couldn't score, saved my life. And we played Aston Villa away and I scored. So I thought, I'm back on track now. It was halfway through the season. And we were struggling. We were near the bottom of the league with Doncaster. And the manager called me in the office. Called me up in the office. It's never good when the manager calls you in the office.
No.
So he's called me up. The assistant manager, Richard. So they're both in there. The manager. They said to me, "We'd love you to stay because your aura and you when you're in the dressing room, you're one of the boys. You get the team going." But they said we need somebody to score goals.
Yeah.
So I said, "All right, okay." So he said, "We got Millwall that want to take you on." So I signed for Millwall. Ironically, I scored in the first game. I scored 3 and 5. Unbelievable.
Wicked.
I know. And then I signed for Millwall then for that season.
Yeah. After hitting such good form for Millwall, did you know straight away that you were going to sign there for a longer term contract?
Well, Kenny Jackett said to me, I'll give you a year's contract. But I didn't know if I wanted to move to London or not. Because I phoned a couple of footballers who I've played football with. Obviously. And I asked them, I said, what would you do? When I told them how much money was involved, they said, mate, you're going down. Because obviously London, you need more money in London to live.
Yeah.
So I was on good money in Millwall, and I wasn't having an iron, but well, wasn't I? It was one of them moves where do I go? Don't I? What do I do? Because Millwall's known as, the fans are known as being headers, as they say in Wales. So I was like, what do I do? Because I played them previous, and one of the fans offered me the ball, but he wanted me to go and get the ball. When I was at Doncaster playing Millwall fan held the ball, didn't he, in his hand. He went, come and get it. I was like, nah, you're all right, mate. I'm all right. I'll probably get a left hook in the chops. I'm all right. So obviously, when I signed for Millwall, and I spoke to a couple of boys and said, mate, you want to? They're a big club. The money's good. You want to go down? So I went down to sign from, but I was in and out. I couldn't. We had three other good strikers. We had Gary Alexander, Neil Harris, Chopper was the manager now of Cardiff, and Steve Morrison. So obviously you can only play 2 out of us 4. And Steve Morrison was on fire, so he was playing regular. Then it was only up to me, Neil Harris, who was a legend, and Alexander. So most of the time it was Neil Harris. So I didn't really get looking after that. The following season I signed, I didn't really get looking. I was in and out.
How did you get on with Kenny Jackett?
He was all right. He can be strange sometimes, but I got on all right with him. I got on better with the assistant manager, with Shawsey, who was the reserve manager. Yeah, you got on more with him because he was still one of the boys. So he knew the score, right? He'd take his training, and sometimes you're like, I can't be asked. He said, if you can be asked now, we'll cut you short. If you can't be asked, we'll keep going. This was in reserves, but he's one of the boys, wasn't he? So he said, if you try, I'll try with you. If you don't try, I'm not going to try with you. So we were like, all right. So we said, I'll knock half. If we do it really good, we train hard, I'll knock half hour off the training session, which, man of his word, he did. And you both parties were happy, because the worst thing in football is dragging a session on.
Yeah.
When you just want to get home and play the PlayStation in my penthouse suite.
Funny you mentioned that. Brings me on to another interesting question. What do footballers do away from football?
PlayStation. That's all I played.
Serious?
Solid 12 hours a day, PlayStation. When I was a Hull, I'd be in a PlayStation 12 hours a day. I signed for Millwall. I was on the place because I lived on my own and I didn't have many friends. I didn't know anybody. So I was just PlayStation. I was at PlayStation and I was on the mic and I just 12 hours a day on the PlayStation. That was my life.
After 2 seasons at Millwall, you then went out on loan initially.
Yeah, I sort of I started to lose my love for football then, because I signed for Carlisle, and as soon as he signed me, I didn't play. He played 2 other kids. He played Madine and a kid called Curran. And I couldn't get a game. I was on the bench nearly all the time. And I was like, I just started losing the love for football then. My love just started going down and down and down. And then you get to a point where you're like, can I be asked anymore? Because if they don't give you any love, you're not going to show them any love. But obviously they can only pick 11. They can only pick a team of 11. And obviously I thought I should have been playing, but I weren't playing. And then you just lose your love for football. Well, I did anyway. And then it just went down and down, and I just don't. You got to a point where I didn't want to be there.
You returned back to Millwall before being loaned to Bradford City. Did you at that point try to rekindle your love of the game? Do you feel that...
I did. Peter Taylor signed me up, and Bradford were near, just off relegation. And Peter Taylor said to me, you're going to play most games, but depends who we play, you're not going to play that game. Because there was another kid playing who was quite good as well. So he was up front straight away. And he got me back to love the game again. So we'd gone from, I think they were about 4 points off relegation to 1 or 2 points off playoffs when I played. And we were flying. And then he phones me up, Peter Taylor. He said, the chairman has just stopped. The chairman ain't going to give me the money for you because I think they pay half your wage. And I weren't on big money. And he said, the chairman don't want to pay half your wage for me to keep you. And then Bradford went back down in the relegation. So I'm like, because we were flying. We were absolutely flying. I'm not saying it was just me, but if you get a good team spirit, that takes you a long way. And I think I brought a little bit of a team spirit back in the change rooms with me messing about.
After the Bradford City thing didn't work out, are you a little bit disillusioned again with football?
Yeah, I went back to...
After putting in so much focus for your old manager, Peter Taylor, and then...
Yeah, so your chest out again, you lift it again, and you're like, yes, football's back. Then obviously Peter Taylor phones me up and says, Jay, chairman won't give me the money for you. He won't pay half your wage, so blah, blah, blah. He said, I can't keep you. He said, I'd love to have you, yeah, but I can't keep you. And then obviously I had to go back to Carlisle, where I didn't really want to be because I wasn't playing. But obviously they pay my wage.
Does that initially then, when you go back to Carlisle, you know you're not going to play? Are you on the manager's case to go straight out on loan straight away?
Yeah, I think I went back out to... Did I go Walsall after that?
You went to Walsall after that, yeah. Yeah,
so I went to Walsall and I got an Achilles problem. So Dean Smith was manager. And I goes there and he said, mate, I just want a target man. He said, we play good football, but I need somebody who can hold the ball up and get people into play. Well, at this time, my Achilles started playing up. And it got the last 2 games, I couldn't move. And I said to Dean Smith, I said, mate, I can't move. He said, mate, I just need you as a target man to play. I said, I physically can't move. And the fans had collared on that I weren't running anywhere because I couldn't run. Well, they're booing me. So I had fans booing me. I had the manager wanting me to play as a target man. And I couldn't get anywhere. So then I thought it was my last game for Walsall. So I walked into his manager's office. He's in there with the manager who we just played against, having a chat. And I walked in, I said, oh, mate, I said, nice to see you. I said, Dino, nice to meet you, mate. I'm going back to Carlisle. He's gone, no, you got 1 more game left. Because I thought my loan had finished. I said, I can't play another game. I can't move. My Achilles is physically stopping me from running at all. So he said, oh, just go on the bench. I won't put you on unless I have to. So I said, it's pointless to put me on because I can't move. Fans are booing me. Might as well just think. So then I played on the bench and then I played my buys and then I come back up to Carlisle to get my Achilles sorted.
Was that the first serious injury you've had in your career?
No, mate, no. I broke my wrist. So I proper snapped my wrist when I was a Tranmere. Closed the keeper down. I've done that because he was the keeper took a big touch and I thought I'd get this because I used to be quite quick. I've got there, he smashed the ball, he's knocked me off balance, snapped my wrist. My wrist was literally, it was like a Z. So anyway, I went to hospital, they just snapped me back into place. So they put an arm around my skinny arms, put a band around my skinny arms, tightened it. So it was like the ultimate warrior. So I sort of had a little vein. I was quite chuffed. So they snapped my wrist back into place. You could hear it crunching back into place. They said, that should be all right. So I was like, oh, okay. So I was out for 3.5 weeks. So then I've played. The 4th week I've played with it bandaged. I was still in cast. So I've played that. That game, we played Swindon away. And they were bullying us. So the manager got his hair off. She said, so-and-so. So anyway, when I go to a shoulder barge, I always stop so the kid just goes flying across me. But obviously, they put all their weight into a shoulder barge. So anyway, I've gone to shoulder barge, this littlest kid, and he knocked me flying. right? So he's proper knocked me flying, and you must only weigh like 5 stone. So obviously my wrist is still in bandage. I'm in the air and I've twisted my body not to land on my wrist. When my shoulder got caught in the ground and I snapped my collarbone.
Oh.
So I thought I broke my neck because I physically couldn't move. So I'm on the floor and I've got my right hand in the air going, I'm done. I've snapped my neck. So physio's run on. It's not a problem. So I said, oh, I think I broke my neck. She went, let's have a look. So he's done that. I don't know if you can see. I've still got, see the bone sticking out?
Yeah.
I've got the bone sticking out. It's still sticking out. So obviously I'd done that, and he said to me, I went to see a specialist, and he said, you can either pin it together, but he said you're going to take longer to heal, or you can get this, you wear a vest and it glues yourself back. If the bones touches together, it'll glue itself back. But mine's gone like that. So I've got a bit sticking up. So I was walking around with a vest thing on, walking on changing rooms like this for 4 weeks. Yeah, you want some? So now so I've done that, and then I've snapped when I was at Doncaster, I'd snapped my left Achilles, just ruptured it.
Jesus.
I know, that hurt. But it only hurt when the doctor, the specialist had to ultrasound it. And mate, I was in the hospital and she had to ultrasound where I snapped it. And I said to her, I'm really sorry if I'm going to swear. So she was like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, as soon as she touched my Achilles was just throbbing at the time. As soon as she touched it with the ultrasound, mate, I screamed the place down. Because it was that much pain. I was effing and blinded, which I'm not proud of. But I was screaming, mate. I was so much pain. I nearly fainted. But she said, I've got to find out where you snapped it. So I had that. So I've only had really, apart from hamstring pulls, I broke my hand. I broke my hand a couple of times. Courtney broke my hand.
Really?
I caught my hand in between him and the striker, and he snapped my hand.
Painful.
Which hurt.
I bet. See, when you're on loan now, excuse me. See, when you then return to Carlisle, again, are you going straight back out on loan? There's no chance of trying to rekindle and get back into the Carlisle team.
Yeah, there's no chance, mate. There's no chance of that. So yeah, like I said, I just lost love for football. In fact, I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do after? This is when I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do after football? Because I didn't want to be a Carlisle because I weren't playing. I wasn't even getting a look in. And I think, did I go Hereford after that?
You went to Hereford. You had a short loan spell with Hereford before signing for Barnet. Or Morecambe even. Yeah.
Yeah, so I signed from Hereford and I was all right. I was in and out the first couple of games, but then the striker started to score because he weren't scoring before I came down. And as soon as I get there, he starts scoring. So I'm on the bench again. So then when I went, obviously Carlisle, that was the end of my contract then, Carlisle. And then Barnet gave me a month trial. That season, they gave me a month trial. And it was just one of the worst run clubs I've been at.
Really?
It was for what? It was just weird. It was.
In what way?
There weren't that many fans. It was. We were in a complex in the middle of nowhere. The manager. It was. He was one of the Wimbledon players. He was one of the old school Wimbledon players. He was manager of Ireland. Yeah, he didn't even train us. He'd give us a ball.
Was it Laurie Sanchez?
That's it, Laurie Sanchez.
Yeah.
He'd give us a football, and we just played five-a-side. That was it. We do no set plays because he said if you don't know what you're doing in football, you shouldn't be playing it. Everything was just low and mate. It was like what? All these years I've been playing football, and now it's got to a point where you just play football. If you don't know what you're doing, tough. And I was like, what? Yeah, so I was living with a Barnet fan, which was weird. So I'm living with a random Barnet fan, and I'm living in his house in a small box bedroom that I was renting off him. I was like, what the heck? What's all this about? He was a nice guy. And the boys were like, are you going to sign? Because I was playing all right. We were doing all right. And I said, I don't know. But we played Morecambe like 2 or 3 games before my month loan was up. And I knew that I used to travel in with this. Long story short, I used to travel in when I used to play for Swansea with the goalkeeper coach at Morecambe. And he said, do you want to sign for us? And I thought, I want to be back up north because there's nothing down there. I had no friends. I had nothing down there. So it was a bit of a loner. So I was like, yeah, I'll sign for Barnet when my things up. So obviously the Barnet boys were like, you signing for Barnet? And I'm like, Sanchez haven't asked me. Then we played my contract was up on the Saturday. And on the Friday, or it could have been the Saturday after the game, Sanchez collared me. He said, do you want to extend to Christmas? I was like, no, mate, you're all right. I'm going to go. Like, do you know what I mean? Extend to Christmas. Mate. But Morecambe said, we'll extend to the end of the season. So I said, so I left Barnet and went to Morecambe.
Sounds like you didn't really enjoy your time at Barnet. It's quite a strange time in your career.
It was weird. It was like starting off as Swansea all over again, where nobody knew really what was happening sometimes. Didn't have nightlife like Swansea, but it was starting all over like Swansea.
Talk to me about Morecambe. Would this be your last league club?
Yeah, so I was living not far from where I'm living now. So I'm living in Leeds, and I was doing a horseshoe. It was 5 of us in a car. One kid lived 3 hours away. Seriously, like what's all that about? He'd leave his house at 6 in the morning to get to Morecambe. So he picked me up on the way, and then we'd meet the boys near north of Manchester, near Preston, and then we'd horseshoe up. So I'm in Leeds, I go to Manchester, and then I horseshoe up the M6 to Morecambe. Took 2.5 hours to get there. So I'm travelling 5 hours. So I'm leaving my house at 7, and I'm getting home at 6. And I'm like, I just didn't. I cancelled my contract near the end. I cancelled my contract because I was travelling more than I was training or playing. And I'm like, I can't handle this. This is it now. So I seen the gaffer. I said, cancel my contracts. I don't want to play. I don't want to play anymore. So he said, all right, okay, I'll cancel the contract. And then I cancelled that and I went to Guiseley, which was an eye-opener again.
Talk to me about Guiseley. And when you got there, did a little bit of you regret cancelling your contract with Morecambe?
No, because I'd lost. When I was at Morecambe, the manager, the boys were class. The manager was brilliant. Because I was in and out of the team, and I'm travelling all that way, and I'm like, I just completely lost the love. Completely, I just disliked football at the time because I didn't watch it. I hardly ever watch football. I'm training, and I just couldn't be asked. And then obviously when I'm playing, I'm trying, but because I haven't been training as hard as I could have been, I'm not getting the full. You know what I mean? The full bit of the game. I'm still on catch up because I was 34 at the time, I think, or 35. So my body's not really ready for that running. Whereas obviously I've cut my running down. I'm trying to use my brain more, but I'm not fully fit because I wasn't really training as much.
Talk to me about Guiseley as a club.
So I've signed for Guiseley. I think the manager had some money. So he was just signing people up. And in training, right, we trained at Wakefield Trinity Rugby League football pitch because he had some insight with rugby league. he had backhanded. I don't know what he had, but he knew some of them boys. So we're training on the rugby pitch, and we do 2 touch, 1 touch finish, right? In training, that's all we ever done. So you had wingers who need to practice running at people. They were on 2 touch. You're like, and he weren't even watching us. He'd just go over and sit in the stand with his assistant manager and have a chat. Because some boys will take 4 touches and we're like, whoa, what are you doing? And they keep on running. But the players are like, you can't do that. 2 touch, 1 touch finish. And then he gets all a bit. But you're like, that's all we ever done. Every Tuesday and Thursday was 2 touch with 1 touch finish. I don't think the guy had ever managed football in his life. Because they had money, they had good players. And we were hovering on the promotion side of it. But then I didn't play then. I pulled my hamstring quite bad, and then I didn't play for a while. And then I just said to them, just cancel my contract because they were paying me cash. So obviously I wasn't getting paid then, was I? I wasn't playing, I wasn't getting paid.
Is it a difficult thing for a player when you come to the age where you can no longer generate an income for yourself playing professional football? Is it a realisation that you're going to have to start something fresh, something from the beginning?
I think, well, I know so. Because I'm so laid back with money and everything, it didn't affect me so much. But I was worried. So if you get somebody who's not as laid back as me with money problems, then you've got a big problem. Because obviously they've stopped playing something they've loved. Whereas I got to a point where I disliked football. I just started a new trade as well because I was plumbing. When I was at Guiseley, I was doing the plumbing courses. So a little bit was taking my mind off it. But I got paid a little bit of money off the PFA because you get like a lump sum. So that covered a couple. It's quite a for what it is. It's quite a lot of money. So that covered me for so long while I was plumbing, doing my gas. And then I've been struggling a bit since then. But then now I'm okay because I'm happy. I've got where I am now, and I'm okay now, money wise and confident wise with my gas and my plumbing. But I can see where footballers, as soon as the lower end, mate, your mind will just go. I can see how it does.
I guess if you retire with unfulfilled dreams or ambitions, or you think you haven't got potential, something like that can eat away at people as well, I'm guessing.
Yeah, because I think it helped me from when I was born in Aberdeen, a little town, to the build-up I had. I'm playing in Championship against ex-Premiership players, and I'm looking around. Sometimes I'm even in the middle of a game, I'm looking around, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm in the middle of this pitch. I'm from Aberdeen, a little town where nothing ever happens. And I got fans singing my name and fans booing me. And it's like I don't know, I was at Oldham, we played Leeds. But the previous season, or 2 seasons before, we beat Leeds. When I was at Doncaster, we beat Leeds. And I was on a scuffle with the centre half with Naylor. I'm having a proper tussle with Naylor. And the fans were seeing I was on a tussle. And they were like, Jason Price, starts with a W. And I've done that as a medal. And I started shouting Wembley, right, to the fans. All Leeds fans. I'm in the Leeds Stadium, Ellen Road. And all the stadium, no word of a lie, started shouting, Jason Price, And I'm standing there thinking, I can't believe I'm in Ellen Road, and I've got every fan screaming, I'm a W. I'm a Wazek. Nearly. Mate, and I was, what was I? I would have been 33, 34 then. I'm still thinking to myself, like, wow. I was that boy. I was that young boy taken, and now I'm a man at Ellen Road. I still think about it now. It's great. It's a great time.
If you could relive any one day of your career, like Groundhog Day, have you seen that film?
Yeah.
What day would it be for you, Jason?
I'd probably be the Wembley game of Leeds. We played Leeds at Wembley. Because it come on, it was an anniversary. Or it come on Facebook. It was something anyway, something that so many years we beat Leeds, blah, blah, blah. And it come on and you could watch. I've never watched the full game of the Leeds versus Doncaster versus Leeds at Wembley. I've never watched the full game. And I watched the full game, and I kid you not, I was sweating. I knew the score, obviously. We won 1-0. I was nervous all game, right? I was cacking my pants all game, and I was physically sweating watching the game. And I was speaking. I'd done a charity game a couple of weeks later, and the boys were saying they were exactly the same, where they were nervous watching the game because I don't think not many of us had seen your game.
It's funny when you watch something back like that, how tense you are now. Do you reckon that was the same emotions you experienced on the day when you was in the game, or were you more relaxed?
It was similar. It was very similar. Whereas in the game, you're more, because I think it was 75,000 there. Do you know what I mean? It was nearly packed, or 72,000 I think were there, and you couldn't hear yourself think. I was screaming at somebody 10 yards away, and they can't hear because the fans were so loud. And it was just that moment in my career. I've not made it, but this is nearly the pinnacle of what I've been trying to achieve. I'm playing at Wembley. I'm playing against Leeds United. We're a massive club. I'm a Doncaster, and we knew we were going to win. So when I lived in Beverley, I had Leeds fans coming on to me going, "Oh, you standard. Oh, we're going to win. You're going to win." And I was like, "You're not going to win. Trust me, you're not going to win."
Exit full screen. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, sorry.
If you could change one thing about your career, one decision that you made, which then had an impact on your career, or one decision you didn't make, what decision would that be?
Well, we were talking about earlier. I don't regret it, but if I'd stayed at Hull, would I have played in the Premiership?
Yeah. Because
the season after that, they got promoted to the Premiership. And obviously, if I'd stayed, things wouldn't have. Obviously, hindsight, but they might. If I played, would we got a Premiership? Could I have been a Premiership player? Testing myself, because just before I left, I'm playing against ex-Premiership players who were still decent, and I was making them look foolish. Do you know? Because I was getting man the match, and I was like, "Wow, this is great." This. I felt like nobody could stop me. If somebody when I was playing just before I left Hull, the last 6 games, if somebody put me in their team in the Premiership, I wouldn't have felt out of place. My confidence was that high that I wouldn't have felt out of place. Whether I would have been able to play, play up to that standard, I'll never know. But at that point in my career, I felt like I could have played in the Premiership, and if I'd stayed at Hull, would have had that chance. But it's not a regret. It's just a wonder.
Have you ever considered going into the game in a coaching, scouting, or management capacity? Is that something that you've got an interest in?
I have, mate. Yeah, I have. I was coaching Doncaster kids, and I had a couple of offers a bit bigger, but because of my job, because I weren't comfortable with my gas and my plumbing. I'm still learning on that. And if you're trying to fix a boiler, you need to fix that boiler, whether it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 8 o'clock at night. Yeah. So my time was up and down. So I couldn't say to a team, "Oh yeah, we'll training's at 6. I'll be there at 6." I couldn't do it because if I got to fix a boiler, do you know what I mean? Even if even when I was at Doncaster, sometimes I had to cancel because, like, I'm saying to him, mate, boiler job's come in, I got to fix it. I don't know what time I can get it. So in the end, I just knocked on the head. I said, "Oh, I can't do it because of my job." But then I'm thinking to myself, because I've seen a lot of coaches, and I'm looking at these coaches and thinking I've got a lot more to offer. Down the end, not the bigger ones, but the lower end ones. Do you know that when you're up and coming? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking to myself, I've got a lot more to offer you, because I've been there. Sort of I've wore the t-shirt to a certain level, so I know I can know quite a bit about it, and I'm always thinking about things in football terms. I'm always trying to get one step ahead of that next pass in my head. So I'm thinking to myself, do I slide away from the plumbing and gas game and going flat out coaching?
You've played over 400 games in the Football League. That's a huge, huge achievement and a huge experience, like you say. It'd be silly not to try to then take that into the coaching aspect and try your hand at that side.
I have been, when I'm sitting here with a drink in my hand of a little bit of spiced rum, and I'm just thinking to myself, do I just obviously still do my plumbing and my gas, but limit my hours?
Yeah.
And then start sliding towards the coaching game, because I got a couple of mates who were with Premiership teams were coaching. Do you know? And I'm thinking to myself, I can do that.
I know when I'm talking to you about coaching, you've got an enthusiasm and you come alive. When I'm talking to you about boilers and heating, you're not giving me the same enthusiasm. So I think that answers your own question.
Hard work. It's hard work. It's hard work.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, well, it's when I get to a boiler and I need to fix this boiler, it stresses me out before I even touch it.
Oh, for real.
Yeah, because I'm getting there and I'm thinking to myself, I've got to test this, I've got to test that, you've got to find this. I'll buy a part, 200 quid, it might not be that part. The customer's going to start moaning. And you're like, oh, do I need this aggro? But I am enjoying it. Don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying it. But it's stressing me out. All that goes white. Where before, 3 years ago, it was all black. Now the hairs are starting to go white a lot. My hair's going white and I'll be like Don King in 2 years.
Do you know what I think stops a lot of people from going into the trade world when they've had a successful career in the public eyes? Because how are people going to deal with you? Have you had good or bad experiences with fans from past teams or from rival fans while you've been doing the plumbing?
No, mate, no. I'd say I've had not a lot, but I've had a few people recognise me. Like I've moved into my house. I'm renting this house off a mate, and I've moved in. And as soon as I park the van, there's a guy run across opposite, and he's like, "Oh, I've got a couple of houses. Do you want to do gas certificates on them?" I was like, "Yeah," because that's the easy money. The gas certificates, easy money. Yeah. And he went, "Are you Jason Price?" Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, I watched you when you played against Leeds. I'm a Leeds fan. I watched you play against Leeds." Do you know, I'm good mates with him now.
Yeah.
No, it's just weird things. And then I'm like, I'll go in a house and somebody will go, "Oh, yeah, I know your face." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I used to play football now and again." That's it. Jason Price, blah, blah, blah. And then you have a chat with them. And then you get a good aura with the customer. And then they give you a little tip then at the end of it, a £2 tip.
Brilliant. Jason, I've got to say, I thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you today. It's been a great honour to go through your career a little bit. And I know there's a lot of stories in there that we can't tell, which is like anything, age, time, people, faces, places. But I really appreciate you giving us a little info today and a little insight. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, anytime, mate, anytime. I've got loads of stories. You need a full day for me.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, have a little think over the next couple of weeks and we'll see if we can dig some out for an episode of Match of the J. We'll get something going on.
All right, buddy, no problems, mate.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you ever so much for your time. And I
Thanks, mate.